Hello, my dear students. This is Mrs. Shaima Gharib and today's lesson about adding and subtracting integers. Let's start by revising some rules before you watch any video. First, you have to sit in a quiet place. You should have your pen and a piece of paper to take notes and to solve questions. You should pause the video after each question, then you try to answer on your own. Then you play the video to check your answer and to understand the question in case you get a wrong answer. Are you ready? Let's start. Reading addition and subtraction sentences. This is a very simple addition sentence, 9 plus 4, as we used to read it. But it has the same meaning as when we say 4 more than 9. So when we have addition sentence, we can use the word more than, and we always start with the number after the sign or the addition sign. So when we read this sentence, we read it as 4 more than 9, which means I'm going to count on after 9 for 4 steps. The answer, of course, is 13. One more, 6 plus 2, I can read it as, what do you think? 2 more than 6, which means I'm going to count on after 6 for 2 steps, which means 6, 7, 8. So 2 steps after 6, 7, 8, then the answer is 8. What about if I have a negative number here? Negative 9 plus 4. It's still an addition sentence. So I will start with the number after the addition sign, and I will say 4 more than, for the addition sign, negative 9. So it will be 4 more than negative 9, which means I'm going to count on after negative 9 4 steps. What comes after negative 9? We have negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, then negative 5. Then the answer will be negative 5, because negative 5 is 4 more than negative 9. Is this clear? One more addition sentence with a negative number, negative 3 plus 5. I can read it as 5 more than negative 3, which means 5 numbers more or after the negative 3, or I will count on by 5 steps after the negative 3. Let's count on together. After negative 3, we have negative 2, negative 1, then 0, 1, 2. Then the answer will be 2. 2, number 2 is 5 more than the negative 3. Okay? 15 minus 3. Now I have a subtraction sentence. So how do I read a subtraction sentence? I will say 3 less than 15. So I will use the word less than when I have a subtraction sentence. It means, and I will start with the number after the subtraction sign, which is the 3, and I will say 3 less than 15, which means counting backward before the 15. So I will count backward starting from the 15 by 3 steps. Let's count together. Before 15 we have 14, 13, 12. So the answer is 12. What if I have a subtraction sentence like this? 2 minus 5. And we know the 5 is greater than 2. So I can read it as same way exactly. 5 less than 2. So I will count backward starting from the 2. Alright? So I will count backward by 5. Let's count together backward starting from the 2. So before the 2 we have 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, and negative 3. So negative 3 is less than the 2, of course. Less than the 2 by 5. It's 5 less than 2. Okay? Now I have a negative number minus 6. Negative 4 minus 6. So I will read it exactly the same way, which is 6 less than for the negative, for the subtraction sign, or for the subtraction, or for the minus. So 6 less than negative 4. 6 less than negative 4 means all the less than or the subtraction I count backward. Okay, so I will start from the negative 4 and I will go backward. So it will be what before negative 4? We have negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, yes, negative 8, negative 9, and negative 10. So the answer will be negative 10. Negative 10 or number negative 10 is less than number negative 4. By how many? By 6. So negative 10 is 6 less than negative 4. Now let me ask you some questions. The first question, what do you notice about the sign of the result? Look at the sign of the result. Sometimes I have a positive answers like 13, 8, 2, 12, and sometimes I have negative answers. As you can see, negative numbers. So, can you guess or can you find a link between the sign, only the sign of the result and any of the numbers in the question? Can you find a link? Think about this question. You will find that the sign of the result is the same as the sign of the biggest number. For example, the biggest number here is 9. 9 is positive or negative? It's a positive. Then the answer must be positive. Here, the biggest number is negative number. Why? Because 9 is bigger than 4 and 9 here is negative, but not negative 9 is more than 4. No, I'm talking about the number without the sign. So number 9 is bigger than number 4. Okay, and number 9 here has a negative sign. Then the answer will be negative. Okay, in the second one, I have a negative number and a positive number. Okay, so negative 3 plus 5. The biggest number here is 3 or 5? I said, I will say it again. I don't look at the sign in this part. I just look at the number and find out which number is bigger without the sign. This is 3 and this is 5. So the biggest number is 5. Is this 5 in the question positive or negative? It's positive. Why? Because it has a plus sign before it. It's positive and it has no subtraction or negative sign before it. Okay, then the answer will be positive. As you can see here, the 2. Here I have 15 minus 3. 15 is a positive number. 3 is here. I can consider it as negative number. Why? Because it has negative or subtraction sign before it. Okay, so the biggest number is 15 and it is a positive number. Then the answer is positive. What about the next one? I have number 2 and number 5. Which number is bigger? Number 5. Is this number 5 positive or negative? It's negative. Why? Because it is subtracted from the 2, which means it has a subtraction sign before it. So I can consider it negative number. So the answer must be negative. As you can see, negative 3. In the second one, I have negative 4 minus 6. Okay, which number is the biggest? Is number 6, and it has a minus or a subtraction sign before it, which means I can consider it negative number. Then the answer will be negative. Okay, what else you can notice about the numbers in the questions? Here, for example, the first number, I have 9 plus 4, and this is 13. 13 is the sum of 9 and 4. And for the second one as well, 2 plus 6, 8 is the sum. What about this? I have 9 and 4. Okay, and the answer is 5. Is 5 the sum of 9 and 4? Of course not. What 5 is? 5 is the difference between the 9 and 4. What about the next one? I have 3 and 5. All right. Is 2 the sum of them? No. It is the difference between 3 and 5. What about 15 and 3 here? And the answer is 12. 12 is the difference. And here as well, 2 and 5, 3 is the difference. Here, 4 and 6, 10 is the sum or total. So we can say that the result, either the sum or the difference of the numbers. So when you add or subtract negative numbers or negative integers, just make sure that your answer either the sum or the difference. And we said, so now we know two information. First, the answer or the result should be same sign as the biggest number. Second, it should be the sum or the difference. Can you notice when it is the sum or when it is the difference? Is there any rule, or can we find out any rule, especially when we work with big numbers? I will not count back or count forward every time to get the answer. I need to find a link between this answer and the sentence by observing the sign of the biggest number and the answer. Is it sum or difference? So let's see together more examples to make this point more clear. This example, -4 plus 9. -5 plus 22. I will show you all the examples first, then we'll start to work on one by one. Let's start by the first one, -4 plus 9. We said the sign of the result is the same as the sign of the biggest number. The biggest number here is number 9. Is it positive or negative? It is positive. So the answer must be a positive number. What else? The result is either the sum or the difference. And this is a point that we are going to make it more clear in this slide. So we said the answer is positive because the 9 is a positive number or the biggest number is positive. Then we need to decide, am I going to add or subtract? Is the answer will be the difference or the sum? So let's look at this sentence here. If the two numbers have different sign, we subtract, which means we find the difference. Look at the two numbers. This number is a negative number and this one is a positive number. Then they have a different sign. Then I'm going to subtract. What is the difference between 9 and 4? It is 5. So it will be positive because the 9 or the biggest number is positive. What about the second example? I have -5 plus 22. So the biggest number is positive, which is the 22. Then my answer will be positive. Am I going to find the sum or the difference? We said if the two numbers have different sign, we subtract. This number is negative and this number is positive. Then I will subtract. 22 minus 5 is 17. And 17 should be positive because the biggest number is positive. What about the next example? We said the answer or the result is same sign as the biggest number, which is the 20 here. Okay, then the 20 here, is it negative or positive? It is a negative number. Then my answer will be negative answer. Am I going to add or subtract? Do I have different sign? -3 is a negative number. What about -20? Can I consider it negative number or positive number? Of course, it is, as I said before, it's negative number. I can consider the minus or the subtraction sign as negative sign. So both of them have the same sign. So if the two numbers have the same sign, we add. So here I have two negative numbers. Then I will add them together. 20 plus 3 equals 23. Then the number will be 23. Positive or negative? 23, it will be negative. Why? Because the biggest number here is a negative number, which is -20. Okay? Is this clear? So the answer will be -23. Let's apply the same rules on the next example. -6 plus 3. Both numbers have different sign. One of them is negative and the second one is positive. So when we have different sign, we subtract. 6 minus 3 equals 3. Then the answer will be 3. What about the sign? Is it negative 3 or 3? According to the biggest number. The biggest number here is number 6, and it is a negative number. Then the answer will be negative 3. Is this clear? One more example, negative 13 plus 5. We are going to do exactly the same. Two different signs, negative 13 and positive 5. So I'm going to, yes, subtract. So 13 minus 5 equals 8. So is this 8 will be negative or positive? It will be according to the biggest number, which is negative 13, which is a negative number. Then it will be, yes, negative 8. Is this clear? Next example, negative 71 plus 33. Two different signs, negative number and positive number. Then I will subtract 71 minus 33. And the answer will be negative or positive? It will be negative. What do you think? 71 minus 33. Take 30 from the 71 will be 41. Then take 3 from the 41. It will be, yes, negative 38. Is this clear now? Look at this example and this one and this one. Now I want you to try to do these examples according to the rules we explained and check your answer with the video. 6 minus 10. We said before the sign of the result is same as the sign of the biggest number. The biggest number here is 10. It has a negative sign or a subtraction sign before it. Then my answer will be negative. So I know that my answer will be a negative number. Now, am I going to add or to subtract? We said according to the sign. Do they have same sign or different sign? They have different sign. This number is positive and the second one is negative because we said the subtraction sign works as negative sign. Okay? So I will find the difference. What is the difference between 10 and 6 is 4. Then the answer will be negative 4. What about the second one? Both numbers have the same sign, negative 6 minus 10. So both numbers are negative numbers. Okay, then they have the same sign, which means we are going to add 6 plus 10 equals 16. Positive or negative according to the biggest number. The biggest number here is 10, which has negative sign, so it will be negative 16. Is this clear? Negative 13 plus 10 both have different sign, negative and positive. Then I will find the difference. Okay, so the difference between 10 and 13 is 3. This 3 will be negative or positive according to the biggest number. The biggest number is 13, which is a negative number. Then my answer will be negative 3. Is this clear? Now I have two numbers. Both of them have the same sign and both of them are negative. Negative 3 minus 14. Okay, then my answer will, or the sign of my answer will follow or will be the same as the biggest number, which is 14. It has a negative sign, then my answer will be negative. Am I going to add or subtract? I'm going to add. Why? Because both numbers have the same sign. So it will be negative 17. What about negative 13 plus 20? Both have different sign. Then I will, yes, subtract. 20 minus 13 equals 7. Is this clear? Is this 7 will be positive or negative according to the biggest number? The biggest number here is 20. Is this 20 negative or positive? Positive. It has a plus sign before it. Then my answer will be positive 7, which is 7. Is this point clear? Now it's our questions time. I will show you some questions and I want you to try to do it on your own, and please remember the rules and try to write it down before you answer. Okay, so let's start the first one. 4 minus 9 the answer will be negative 5. Negative because the 9, which is the biggest number, is negative, and both are different or both have different sign, then I will subtract. 9 minus 4 equal 5. 5 minus 22, the biggest number is negative, then the answer will be negative. Am I going to add or to subtract? I'm going to subtract. So it will be negative 17. 22 minus 5 equals 17. Here, both numbers have the same sign. Both of them are negative. Then I will add the two numbers. 20 plus 3, 23, and it will be negative 23 because the biggest number, which is the 20, has a negative sign. Negative 6 minus 3, also both have the same sign. Then I will add both numbers. 6 plus 3 equals 9, and the biggest number is negative, which is negative 6. Then my answer will be negative 9. Negative 3 plus 15, both numbers have different sign. Then I will find the difference. I will subtract. 15 minus 3 equals 12. Is this 12 will be positive or negative? It will be positive. Why? Because the biggest number, which is 15, is a positive number. Then my answer will be positive according to the biggest or the sign of the biggest number. Is this clear now? Negative 17 plus 4. I have two different signs. Negative number and a positive number. Then I will subtract. 17 minus 4 equals 13. Is this 13 will be positive or negative? According to the sign of the biggest number. The biggest number here is 17 and it is a negative number. Then my answer will be negative. So it will be negative. What do you think? Yes, negative 13. This is the end of our lesson today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any question, please feel free to leave a comment and I will answer you as soon as possible. Please remember that your feedback is highly appreciated. Thank you very much and have a nice day.